Okay, lesson 36. The first thing we're going to talk about is the sums of trig functions. So we're just going to add these up, but we're going to have to draw our diagrams to go with each one of these. So 11/6 pi, you know that that's 1/6 pi short of 12/6. So it's 1/6 less than 2 pi. So it's going to be over here, and this is 1/6 pi. And 1/6 pi is 30 degrees, so across from that is 1. This is square root of 3. This is 2. This is positive, and this is negative. So the cosine of this is going to be the square root of 3 over 2. Okay, and that's going to be plus for that right there. Now 5/6 pi is 1/6 less than 1 pi. So it's going to be over here. And again, 1/6 pi is 30 degrees. So across from it is 1. So that's the square root of 3, and that's 2. That one's negative. To get the tangent, it's opposite over adjacent. So it's negative 1 over the square root of 3. So this is 1 3/4 pi. So 1 3/4 pi is going to be over here in this quadrant. Same as 45 degrees. So this is a 1 square root of 2, positive, negative. To get the sine of this angle right here, you're going to do negative 1 over the square root of 2. So negative 1 over the square root of 2. Make sure you bring that subtraction sign down. Of course, that's going to become plus a positive. So let's simplify this, okay? Now, we've got the square root of 3 over 2. We've got a negative 1 over the square root of 3. And we've got 1 over the square root of 2. Now, I'm going to go ahead and rationalize that one. And it's going to become plus the square root of 2 over 2, because that gives me a common denominator with those two, right? If I rationalize this one, I'm going to multiply it by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. So these two I'm going to add together. And then I'm going to have minus the square root of 3 over 3. So that's going to give me a common denominator of 6. You can do it all in one step if you want. But in order to do that, that means I'm going to multiply that by 3. So I multiplied both of these by 3. I multiply that by 2, and I multiply that by 2. So I've got 3 times the square root of 3, and I've got negative 2 times the square root of 3. So that's going to be the square root of 3. And then I have 3 times the square root of 2. So this is going to be my answer here. Okay, now we're going to do some boat in the river problems. Sometimes they're not boats, sometimes they're planes. So it's boat in the river or a plane flying in the sky. So it says a plane flies 300 miles with a tailwind in 1 hour. So we know that when it's a tailwind, it means the wind is pushing the plane. So that means you're going to add the speed of the wind to the speed of the plane. So that means downwind, we'll call that d sub w, it's going to be the rate, which is going to be the plane plus the wind, times the time, I said downwind, and then I did that. I'm sorry. Distance downwind. I meant to do this. Okay. And it said the plane flies 300 miles with a tailwind. So that was 300. And it said in 1 hour. So that means T sub D is 1. So if I just put a 1 there, I just get this. Then it says it takes the same plane 2 hours to fly the 300 miles when flying against the wind. So that's the distance upwind, and it's going to be, what, 300 miles? And the thing is, the rate when you're going upwind is the wind is working against you. So that's going to be the plane minus the wind speed, and it said it took 2 hours. So you got 2p minus 2w equals 300. So now we have these two equations. Okay, so you can use substitution or elimination. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to multiply it times 2. And I'm going to have 2p plus 2w equals 600. And then I'm going to take this equation just as it is, and I'm going to add those together. And I'll get 4p equals 900. And p then is going to be, what, 250, right? No, that's not right. 225. I didn't think that was right. That didn't seem right to me. Anyway, so that's the speed of the plane, and that's miles per hour. It said, what is the speed's plane? So we're done. Okay, let's do another one. It says a speedboat could travel at 6 times the speed of the current. That means the speed of the boat is 6 times the speed of the water. Now, we know again that if we have the distance downstream, which it says thus it took 350 miles downriver, so it's 350. So if the distance down is going to be rate times time, but the rate here is going to be the boat plus the water, because when you're going downstream, the water is pushing you. So this is going to be boat plus the water times the time down equals 350. It said their time down was downriver in 3 hours more than it took to travel 150 upriver. Okay, so distance up is 150. And then it's telling us that time down, it says it could travel that mileage in 3 hours more than it took to travel 150 up. So time is 3 more than time up. So first of all, I know that B is 6W. Plug that in. I know that I have T sub U plus 3 I can plug in right here. So that's 7W times T sub U plus 3. Okay, so now we're going to do distributed property. I know this looks weird, but just hang on. You'll see it all works out. Okay, now that's as far as we can go there, but we're going to go work on this one a little bit. Now, if we're going upstream, it's going to be the boat minus the water times the time up. Now, the time going upriver, we're just going to use T sub U because that's what we used over here. But we know boat speed is 6W, so if I put 6W right here and subtract W, I get 5W. Now, I can simplify that a little bit, and that's going to be 30. Now, the cool thing about that is that's what W times U is, which is what that right here is. So I can put that right here, just use substitution. And then when this becomes 210, now remember, we are now just down to one variable. So when I subtract 210 from both sides, I get 140, right? Am I doing that right? So the wind speed then is going to be 140 over 21. Now 7 will go into this 20 times, 7 goes into that 3 times. Now I want the speed of the boat. So I know the boat speed is 6 times the water speed. So B is going to be 6 times 20 over 3. So B then is going to be 40, and that's miles per hour. Okay? Have fun.